Well, howdy friends, Brian Flechsig of Mad River Outfitters in the Midwest Fly Fishing Schools, and look who I found. It's my mom. So, Judy Flechsig, Mom, we're kind of here. Got you and Dad as a part of our 30-year celebration videos, and just reflecting back on 30 plus years. Of course, as far we go back more than 30 years.
A few.
Yeah.
Yeah, a few. I think I was there at the beginning, actually.
Yeah, you were there at the beginning. We just did a video with it. We featured my little stocking.
I saw that.
Did you see that?
Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, we wanted to take a minute and talk about a very dear friend, one of our very first employees, and I would have to say, even people that work for us now today would agree, probably one of our most special, unique, and quirky employees.
Definitely.
And that was Mr. Jim Andris.
Yes.
And Mom, you worked with Jim for 15 years?
I did. Jim and I worked together all the time.
Yes.
Whatever we were doing, if we were merchandising at the store or, getting lunch for everybody, I have a lunch story that I can tell about Jim. The main thing we did together a lot was when you would different shows during the year, Jim and I would be the person go down and help to put the show together as far as whatever we were demonstrating or taking as far as product. So we were together a whole lot. Jim and I just were the best of friends. And I will miss him forever. I saw him a few times during COVID. Not during COVID, but right before COVID.
Yeah, right.
And he was just the best. He was a gentle soul, but he had a bad temper.
Oh.
And food story I will tell is that when we would go to Wendy's and we would order hamburger, he didn't want them with cheese.
No cheese.
No cheese, no cheese. So if he ever got a hamburger that had cheese on it, he would become a monster person. And he often would take burger back Wendy's, and I don't know what he did when he got there.
He threw it at him, and oftentimes he would throw it at the wall. It would be plastered on the wall. There would literally be
At the shop.
a cheeseburger,
Yeah.
cheese to the wall,
Yeah.
and sliding down the wall. And you, at that point, you knew, well, Andrix,
He's mad.
he got the dreaded cheese on his new hamburger.
Right.
Well, he was, like you said, though, he was. First of all, he was one of the unsung heroes of fly fishing.
Correct.
I mean, Jim Andris invented flies long before other people even thought of doing those things. The difference was Jim just didn't have a platform, and he kept it to himself. He wasn't interested in, he was not a rich man.
No.
He was never going to be a rich man. I don't think he wanted to be in.
No.
He invented so many things, and he was always tinkering and playing. He taught me so much. I mean, I get some credit these days for the carp fly fishing and carping.
Right.
Then at least he is in that video, and I did give him credit in that
Yes,
video that he
yes.
taught me everything I know about catching carp on a fly. You ask Pat Kelly, you ask so many still of our customers still to this day, Jeff Oftenking,
Oh, yes.
Jerry Darkus.
Yes.
Just go down the list of people that Jim influenced over the years.
Well, I know he influenced Andy a lot.
Oh, and he and Andy were very,
He
very,
and Andy were very
very, very close.
Yeah.
So, but Jim started working for us not long after we opened. I think he was our second employee. Tom Frick was probably on board before. But Jim was working at a competitor fly shop, and Jim came to us about 6 months in, and he said, listen, I've not been paid
Right.
in whatever it was, 6 or 8 months.
Right.
And I said, what? And I knew of the legend of Jim Andris and how much he knew. He was also not much of a trout fisher. He was a smallmouth guy, a
Right.
carp guy.
Yes.
He was not really interested in trout fishing. And I said, you haven't been paid in 6 months. I was like, good Lord. I said, why don't you come to work here and we'll actually write you a paycheck?
We will actually pay you, Jim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But do you remember that also the time that he went to, Barry and Kathy Beck called us up and they said, hey, we have 2 free spots to go to Christmas Island.
Oh, yes.
You remember this?
I do.
And so somehow, some way, we chose George Russomanno and Jim Andris. Oh, talk about that. There's two stooges right there.
Right.
And Jim gets, and he had never, ever, I'm not even sure, other than being in the Navy, whether he had actually been on an airplane to fly anywhere.
I don't. He was a stay-at-home Ohio boy here, you know.
So we got him this free trip to Christmas Island and thought it would be this amazing experience for him. Well, he hated it.
Yeah.
And he actually made it all the way to San Francisco, getting ready to head over. And he had left his passport somewhere. Or maybe he made it to Hawaii, and his passport was in San Francisco.
He left it on a copy machine.
On a copy machine, yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't remember how that resolved, but and then he was threatening to come home, and he was threatening to fight George, and just all this stuff. And it turns out somehow the passport made it to him. He made it to Christmas Island. I still don't think he had a very good time. He just didn't want to be there.
He just that wasn't his thing.
Yeah.
And we should have realized that.
Right. Yeah, there were better employees to reward with a trip to Christmas Island.
And then there was George. I mean, being with George probably wasn't any fun either. So.
Yeah, that's a whole different story, but not gonna warrant a video.
No.
That one didn't end well, but our relationship with Jim ended amazingly. Of course, ultimately not what we chose, but Jim retired in about 2010, 11?
Yeah.
Something like that.
In that time
He
vicinity.
retired, and he had just had enough. And, Social Security was going to ride him out the rest of his life.
Right.
And he remained a great friend. Once Linda started working for us, Jim had a crush on Linda.
Oh, he loved Linda.
Oh, my God. He would just come in and oogle over Linda and tell her how beautiful she was. And
Linda loved it.
She did. Once Jim was gone, Linda once, she said, who's going to come in and tell me how beautiful I am more?
I know.
Well, bless his heart. I'll tell you the story, and then we'll finish up. When we opened the current Mad River Outfitters, which is by far our biggest location, it's our proudest. Our shop is about as big as they come as far as fly shops go, and it's for someone that worked in the first store.
Right.
And so we, on opening day, which was I think July 26th or 28th of 2020, we'd been working on this for almost a year with our landlord. They built this amazing store. We have the shipping and receiving wing. We have this incredible store. And so we opened the doors 10 a.m. on July 28th, 2020, and I'm walking around the store still amazed at what we built and what the Mad River Outfitters employees did over those couple of months putting this location together. And sitting in the rocking chair, which has been in Mad River Outfitters since we started, that old rocking chair, which is still there, sitting in that chair was Jim Andris.
Oh, my God.
He was one of the first people in the shop, and he looked at me, and he didn't need to say it, but he looked at me and he shook his head and he said, "Nice." And what he was saying was that he was proud of me, and that he was proud to be a part of that history,
right?
And that he was just reflecting back on the fact that he was amazed at what we've been able to build, but I think he knew it all along. He was proud to work for us. He was proud to work with us. He always supported Mad River Outfitters with T-shirts, Mad River Outfitters hats. I can remember one time we brought in a guy that we kind of made him manager, and I remember Jim wouldn't have anything to do with him, and finally one time Jim sat him down and he said, "Look, you SOB," he said, "I work for Brian.
He did.
I don't work for you."
Yeah.
And you know what? About 2 weeks later, we fired that guy.
We did.
Yep.
Yeah, we did.
So.
I remember now.
Yeah.
Oh my.
He said, "Look, you SOB, I work for Brian and I work for Judy," and he was as loyal as they come. He was as good of a friend as they come.
He was.
And, and so for those of you that don't know, I think it's been almost 2 years ago, April or so 2 years ago would have been 2022. Jim passed away, unfortunately, of cancer. It was not pretty, but it did happen pretty quickly.
Thank God.
we're still somewhat in touch with his family and hopefully always will be. Jim's mom was a big friend of ours too, and a big fan of bears.
Well, that's the funny part is how close you and I are. Jim was that close to his mom.
Well, good Lord, he
Took care of her.
He was a 60-some-year-old man, and
Living with his mom.
He lived with his mom.
Yeah, so watch out.
And well, that might be a nice option. Well, you know what? Again, I've said this about Bear. I'll say this about everybody that's meant something to me. Jim, if you're watching, I hope you are. You're watching over us. That we miss you, and we love you. We're honored that you were a part of Mad River Outfitters history. And you know what? I hope that I get to see you again sometime in the future. I know I will. We'll fish again. So, thanks, Jim Andris, and thanks for all of you that remember Jim Andris. He was a real special part of Mad River Outfitters.
You were the best, Jim.
Yep. So, thanks as always for watching. We hope we didn't bring you down too much, but 30 years history is important to us, and along the way, you run into some special people, you run into some special animals. We've had a lot of very special people that have been a part of this, but as you've maybe heard, our dog Bear and our great friend Jim Andris were always hold real special places in our hearts and always be a huge part of our family. So, as always, friends, thanks for 30 years of history of Mad River Outfitters. Thanks, Mom, for all that you've done for all of us and for Mad River Outfitters history. And you want to do the subscribe thing? Do that again. You're really good at it.
What do I say?
So subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Smash the like button.
Smash the like button.
And stay tuned.
And stay tuned.